What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Mr. Millennial's Revenge. I'm your host, Nick DeMaria. Thanks for tuning in. So it is Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020, and it happens to be my birthday. Yay! How egocentric can this get, right? No, it's just a coincidence that I normally do shows on Wednesdays, and today just happens to be my 37th birthday. So happy birthday to myself. But most importantly, I'm in great company because I share my birthday with the one and only wonderful pianist Wynton Kelly, but also to the pop superstar Britney Spears. So, happy birthday, Britney. Happy birthday, Wynton. You're in good company, if I do say so myself. No, but seriously, on today's show, I interview Brian Charette, pianist, organist, synthesizerist. Brian Charette has been a guest on numerous New Haven jazz underground events. I first worked with him when I was part of the programming committee for Jazz Haven. So Brian was brought to the New Haven Jazz Festival under my watch, and then I got to meet him obviously through that. And I like to think we started a friendship when we brought him down to the festival a few years ago. So he's always a great guy to talk to, really deep. This might be the most philosophical the show has ever gone. We talk about the philosophical side of playing music and jazz and all that good stuff. So really excited for you guys to hear it. Brian's wonderful. He has a huge discography. He, like I said, plays piano, plays organ, plays synthesizers. He has backed up many of the leading voices on the contemporary jazz scene today. He has some of the most creative albums I've heard. He's always stretching the boundary of what a jazz musician can produce. And we talk about that. And I think you will enjoy that conversation. Very awesome. We did it today, just a little while ago. So we talk about Wynton Kelly. We talk about Britney Spears. It's very topical for the birthday episode, I guess. Maybe that's the episode title after all. And then, the usual stuff. Let's do the housekeeping. So, Mr. Millennial's Revenge is a product of the New Haven Jazz Underground, which is a grassroots community-based organization dedicated to producing clinics, concerts, and festivals, all in the name of jazz and John Coltrane, our established patron saint, right? So, keep an eye out. I have been slacking on the fundraising campaign. I promise to get out the sock drive soon. I will let you know on Facebook, www.facebook.com/NHVJU, and you will find out when we launch the sock drive. Please follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, which reminds me, we have a Mind the Hang concert series show coming up on December 10th, featuring the one and only Mike Carabello and his trio. So really excited to have Mike play. If you know Mike, you know the kind of guy he is. Beautiful human being, amazing pianist. I've worked with him several times, many times over the last few years. Great guy. Check that out. Tune in on Instagram or Facebook. We will go live. If you can't catch it when we go live, you can watch it later on YouTube. So check us out on social media. Become a Patreon. Single person contributions are how we operate for as low as $2. You know the drill, right? You've been listening to the show, hopefully. $2 a month, all the way up to $20. It goes to our efforts, and it is all super appreciated. So please consider becoming a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/NHVJU. So one of the things I bring up with my interview with Brian is the new Frank Zappa documentary that has come out. Oh man, it made me want to do a show dedicated to Frank Zappa. An excellent documentary. As someone who enjoys Zappa, has his favorite albums, but maybe not the top Zappa aficionado out there, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was on the same level as the impact that I Called Him Morgan had when I first watched that, the Lee Morgan documentary. Terrifically put together, really well done, and incredibly so by Alex Winter. Station! He played Bill in Bill and Ted. I had no idea he was a director. He's the one that directed. It's a movie just called Zappa. He did an incredible job putting it together. A lot of the movie is based on just Zappa's own words from archival footage. He interviews Mike Keneally, Ruth Underwood, Bunk Gardner, Steve Vai. I'm so grateful for the interview with Ruth Underwood because she was always one of my favorite band members. My favorite time period of Zappa's music is like 1970 to 1975. And that includes like Roxy and Elsewhere, Waka Jawaka, Chunga's Revenge, Weasels Rip My Flesh. Ruth Underwood is definitely on Roxy and Elsewhere. And her playing, her contribution to the band is so awesome. Fucking love that stuff. It's made me want to go back and listen to all my favorite Zappa albums. And the ones I don't know, you could spend like months digging into his stuff. Something like 60 albums have been released posthumously, aside from his 7,500 album output when he was alive. Incredible. Can't stress it enough. Rent it, stream it. It is so worth it. It's like a 2.5 hour movie. I just really enjoyed a lot of it. We bring it up with in the interview with Brian because something told me he was a Zappa fan, so I wanted to make sure I asked him about it. So check it out. The movie's called Zappa. I'm definitely going to have a Frank Zappa themed episode coming up. So stay tuned for that. I'll save my favorite tracks, my favorite Zappa stuff for that episode, but I couldn't contain myself. In the meantime, I wanted to let everyone know that you need to check out that movie. So very good. It's called Zappa, directed by Alex Winter. Station! Also, before I forget, I wanted to let everybody know that the New Haven Jazz Underground partners with Yale every time of year around now. We provide buskers downtown on the Yale campus of New Haven, Connecticut. Members of the Underground can be found all over Chapel Street, College Street, Elm Street, playing Christmas songs, jazz standards, pop tunes, commercial themes, whatever's on their mind. And that's going on almost all month. It started last weekend, just after Black Friday. And if you find yourself downtown between noon and 4 o'clock, keep your ears open, because chances are you're hearing the horn of someone who may be near and dear to you. A member of the Underground. We've been doing it for a year now. We started last December, again with Yale, and I'm just really happy and grateful that in this time of no gigs, we were able to throw work to some of the greatest tenor saxophonists and trumpet players and trombonists that I know. And so this Saturday, December 5th, this Sunday, December 6th, you can hear busking going on. And it's not exactly busking. It's a paid gig. So thank you to Yale for setting that up. And go support these musicians. You could check them out. Make sure you wear a mask. They're playing on the street. Go listen to a couple of tunes and say hello. And brought to you by the New Haven Jazz Underground. So I hope you can enjoy that. Make it part of your holiday experience. So, in today's episode rant, let's say, any of you guys use Discogs? Probably, right? Discogs, the website, it's like basically eBay for records and CDs and stuff. I waste a lot of my own money on buying stuff on Discogs. I actually sold stuff, so I it's a healthy enough relationship. Let's just say that. However, usually for my birthday, I splurge. I will buy that box set or that live album that's a little bit more that, usually would be like, oh, I shouldn't spend this much money on music. I usually do on my birthday. Well, there's a record that I came across. It's the Jimmy Cobb Quartet with Eddie Henderson on it. You know me and Eddie Henderson, right? So for some reason, I have been unable to find this album. It's not even, it was listed on Discogs for like $40, right? And I was like, maybe that's too much. I hope it's still there because I recently found the same album on Amazon for $900. Yeah, you heard me. $900. What in the ever-living crap? It's apparently a Japanese issue of the album. I'm trying to find the name of it. It's it might be like Remembering Miles or something similar because it's definitely Jimmy Cobb Quartet. Pretty sure, I know Eddie's on it. I'm pretty sure it's a Miles, celebratory album. I can't remember, can't find the picture of it, but $900. So after the show, I'm going to go to Discogs, and hopefully that $40 copy is still available because, good God, what are we even talking about? $900. It must be the greatest album ever. I wonder how many copies actually exist. That's why I'm like super curious about it because now I need to have it, right? Because I can't have it. It must be mine. Okay, so I pulled up Discogs.com, found it. It is called Remembering Miles by Jimmy Cobb, tribute to Miles Davis. There is one copy listed for $45 and $47 shipping because it comes from Australia. I might buy this album on the show because it is still $800 cheaper than the other one I saw on Amazon. What are we talking about here? Remembering Miles. Does anybody have this record? I know there's a shitload of Miles tribute albums, so many of them. Probably my favorite is the one with Benny Golson. I believe it's also called Remembering Miles, something like that. Obviously, Eddie's on it too. Eddie, the go-to for, Miles or Freddie Hubbard tributes, or even Lee Morgan tributes. The one he did with Joe Lovano and Lee Morgan. It's called like Remembering Lee Morgan, believe it or not. Cedar Walton's on it. I think the Washingtons are both in the rhythm section. Incredible album. So it's like Eddie is the man you go to for tribute albums. But what is the story with Jimmy Cobb's Remembering Miles? There must have been just 10 copies of this record for it to be so expensive. I am enthralled. I am interested. I will obsess over this. I'll probably buy it even though I'll be too nervous to open it up. It also says that it's a hybrid album. I have no idea what that is, so I need to make sure that I can play this because the stupidest thing in the world would be to get something that can't be played, like the Terumasu Hino album with Joe Henderson called Sunrise in Tokyo. Does not play. Like, what the fuck? Spent, researched all this and spent all this time and money. Get it, only to find out it doesn't play. It's some kind of other format. So gotta check these sort of things because you'll just drive yourself crazy. The art of collecting albums. What was I thinking when I got started with this? Okay, so let's get to the interview section of the show. As I said up front, Brian Charette joined me. Brian is a pianist, a organist, a synthesizer player. He lives in New York. He has roots in Connecticut. We didn't say it in the interview, but I'm pretty sure he was originally from Meriden. And, definitely trying to get all the Connecticut guys in first before I branch out. So, hope you dig this interview. Brian is a great guy, sweet man, very deep, always approachable. Check out my interview with Brian Charette. And joining me now on the podcast is pianist, organist, and friend to all, I'll say, Mr. Brian Charette. How are you, buddy?
I'd have to agree with you. I
don't
argue
know,
with people.
I don't know one person who said a bad thing about you. I only have heard.
Well, I'm sure it happens, but I don't get into arguments with people.
Yeah, right.
It just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's always there's always been, every time I've interacted with you, there's always been this like incredible, positive, white light vibe. That
I mean,
I'm
not perfect.
Oh,
but I try to go through life with awareness.
Yeah.
It's uncommon at this point when I do something and I'm like, I really shouldn't have done that or shouldn't have done that. I tried to act in a measured and thoughtful way.
Right. Well,
which happens when you get older if you're paying attention.
And it shows. It definitely shows. You practice martial arts, so is there do you get that mindset from your martial arts background?
I think a lot of it comes from that, because when you first start to do that, you really come to terms with your own aggression.
Sure.
Which, if your practice is interesting, Kung Fu means hard work over a long period of time. It doesn't mean anything about fighting. And what I don't want to sound like, mystical Kung Fu guy, but the only fight is with yourself, and I certainly have grown less argumentative and less combative as a result of studying combat.
That's incredible. I actually have been studying Taoism for the last year.
Me too. This is it's basically, the Chinese martial arts are very influenced by the Chinese philosophical arts.
Yes.
So I'm also very into Taoism. I'm not a member of a religion, but I would be a Taoist if I was.
Yeah.
And I feel like what we're talking about is all contained in that text, which is a very quick read.
The Tao Te Ching you're talking about. Yeah.
I especially like, I think his name is Brinner translation.
Okay. Success
and Failure, the Same Disease, chapter 13. It's great for egocentric musicians like me.
It's funny that we're immediately kind of jumping into this, because my favorite translation of it is by Stephen Mitchell, because he's a Westerner, and I feel like his version, he did the best job of translating to.
I gotta check that out. I don't know.
Yeah. So for someone growing up in the West, it's definitely been more accessible and understanding. And my only regret is I did not discover it and look into it earlier. I think my musical career would have been more enjoyable leading up to this point, had I been more forgiving and more understanding of what Taoism teaches. And it's funny because I think isn't like Kenny Werner's Effortless Mastery, looking back on it now, that
I studied with him too. I studied with him before there was a book.
Oh, no way.
In the beginning, and I don't know in the beginning, but there was only the 5-finger exercise. Do you know what that is?
No. But
so before the book, I mean, I am not an expert on Kenny Werner's teaching. I'm a huge fan of his piano playing and him personally.
Sure.
When I took lessons from him, it was 30 years ago.
Yeah. And
I don't think there was a book, Effortless Mastery, yet. And the 5-finger exercise, and I was super stressed out when I was a kid, is you drop your fingers very slowly on the piano keys, and you don't even care if some sound comes out, and you're trying to vanish all of the baggage you bring to the piano. And he would ask you strange questions while you did that, like, what is the temperature of the key? So he would be trying to he would try to break you being all wrapped up in this down here and try to bring your consciousness to another place, which is what all these people are talking about. They're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Awareness, detachment from results, plow diligently and expect no harvest, grasshopper.
I did read his book in college. His book spread through my music department very much, very much like a contagious virus. We were all reading it, and it definitely helped. But I wish I had the maturity to kind of like keep pursuing it, because now, many years later, I'm like, oh, that book was trying to teach me what I've basically discovered myself now. I would have had such a leg up, because the thing the book taught me, and what Taoism has taught me so far in a musical sense, is like I've stopped analyzing what I'm playing as I play it. I am the biggest critic, where I'm literally analyzing and critiquing my solo in the middle of the solo, which is only debilitating. And I've learned that not every solo is going to be your most killing, and just go with it. And when you stop thinking like that, that's when you could start really really making music. So I need to go back and read the book and that sort of thing. I don't know if it's as prominent as it used to be, because I've asked younger musicians occasionally if they've heard of it, and they don't.
I think deep thinkers are into it and know about it.
Yeah.
I've taught all over the world where people are into it too. Like people know about him and his teachings, and
that's really heavy.
He's a heavy dude for sure, man.
Yeah, he seems it. He seems like a heavy dude that is approachable.
He is approachable.
Yeah.
He's super chilled out. He doesn't have any requirements.
Yeah.
He is really the embodiment of, these things.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've interpreted you. Like it's always been very laid back, easy going to talk to Brian Charette. So, that's why I messaged you. Like, hey man, I got the show. Be on the show.
I'm working on it every day.
Yeah. Well, it shows, and keep it up. I'm definitely going to try to keep, my study going, because I've seen positive change in just the year that I've been doing it. So, it's always cool to talk about, like this deep philosophical stuff that transfers to so many things. It's really insane.
Everything is the same thing.
Yeah. And it's incredible how it's like a platform for anything you want to do. And that's what I really like about it. But, so I have to take a moment to say that I'm really excited to talk to you, because it's been so long. I think it's been about at least 2 years since I've either worked with you or had a conversation with you. So how, with the pink elephant in the room, despite the fact, how are you doing? Bring me up to speed. You just had a record come out this year, I believe. Yesterday. Oh my God.
Yesterday.
Okay.
I had in the first month of lockdown, I recorded Like the Sun, which is me and a bunch of synthesizers. I don't know if you ever see my Facebook and social media posts with me and all the synths and drum machines. I released an album like that.
Awesome.
And I'm actually going to perform the music live with all of my contents of my man cave at the Soapbox Gallery in Brooklyn on Saturday.
Oh my God.
At 8 p.m. And you can stream it. It's pay what you can. So you can see it wherever you are.
That is incredible. What you said, give us the info one more time. It was the Soapbox?
Yep. Soapbox Gallery. Let me even pull up their website so I can tell you exactly.
Okay, and to the faithful listeners of the show, this is legit serendipitous. I had no idea that this album came out today. You're playing like essentially its virtual CD release on Saturday. This is super cool. I love the vibe we got going so far.
I love your vibe, baby.
Because
it's soapboxgallery.org.
Okay.
When you go to the website, there is a live stream. Oh, I love Diet Coke.
No, it's
seltzer. What you're drinking?
No, it's seltzer.
Seltzer, I hardly know her.
Yeah. I said salsa, not seltzer. It's for the Seinfeld fans.
Soapboxgallery.org. And you just click on the live stream link and you will be able to see me. And, I don't know if you've ever seen shows from there, but they have a beautiful piano, first of all. And I'm going to be doing like electro piano interludes between the regular pieces.
Awesome.
And the lighting is like 1966 Star Trek. Talk about sci-fi.
Yeah. That is super cool.
It's going to be something like you've never seen before.
Right, exactly. I wanted to definitely talk about your work because first off, I love that you're a Connecticut guy. So
I surely am.
yes. So we share that. There's the show is still young, so I'm still trying to get anyone who is from out of town has a Connecticut.
Ed Cherry's from New Haven.
Yes, I did.
Of course,
Wayne
Wayne Escoffrey, I believe, is from
Yep.
Darubo.
Yes. Yeah. I'm actually hoping to get all three of those guys on the show.
Those are some of my deep bros.
Yeah. The jam session that the New Haven Jazz Underground was running was at a bar that, under an old name, former bar, is where Wayne ran a jam session. So I love that.
What was the name of that place?
So it's called Three Sheets, and but the bar, it was Rudy's. If I remember its history, because it was Rudy's before it was Three Sheets. I think that it was still Rudy's when he ran a session there, and that's what I love about this session is, even though the bar has changed, it's still the same building, and it still has a jam session. And
is this a place that had a lot of plants years ago? You might not.
A lot of plants? I don't remember.
I was playing in New Haven 31 years ago. Are you even 30 years old?
I'm 37 as of today.
Oh my Lord. You look young still.
Thank you. Yes, today is my birthday.
Happy birthday. My birthday was 4 days ago.
That's right. Yeah, I think I remember seeing something like that.
Yeah. Sagittarius men.
Yes. Yeah. Today is my birthday. I share it.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. With Wynton Kelly and Britney Spears. So I hope we could talk about our favorite tracks of each artist.
Oh, Britney Spears is easy. You want a hot body? You want a Maserati? You better work, bitch.
See,
you know that song, dude?
I'm sure if I heard it
in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I heard it, I'd go, oh yeah, I know that song. Because
I'm a huge Britney Spears and Wynton Kelly fan.
Oh, this episode is turning out perfectly. See, Britney Spears came on the scene when I was in high school, so it was just like, Do you
remember her Rolling Stone when she came out on Rolling Stone? Very scandalous.
Yeah, I think so. I remember the snake dress, the snake performance. He's
really something.
Yeah. And then, I think she must have, up until lockdown, I think she had her residency in Las Vegas, which I've heard nothing but good things about, actually.
I'm sure it's good. People always speak badly about pop artists, especially jazz musicians.
Sure.
But these people, a lot of them are really incredible at what they do. And a Taoist would see that.
Yes. I would agree with you. I think, a theme on this show is like jazz musicians are so self-destructive. It's on a whole.
Well, not
level.
all of them. There's a lot of super cool. I don't want to.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
Guys, this and that. But,
of course.
I like everything. I don't like just this or that.
I think,
and it sometimes can exclude you from certain circles. If I was to say in a certain room that I liked Britney Spears, some people would just hate me for the rest of their life.
Right.
Which to me is sad.
Yeah, it is. I know exactly what you're talking about. I agree with you. I feel like we need to teach jazz musicians that it's okay to like non-jazz. It's funny, Spotify and every year they do like, these are the songs you listen to the most this year, which is fun. And everyone's been posting on social media their top 10 songs in top 5 artists or something like that. And mine, and I was laughing because mine is kind of embarrassing on some levels, because I use Spotify for when I work out in the gym. So obviously my guilty pleasure songs are there. So it's like number 1 artist, Miles Davis, number 2 artist, Weird Al or something like that. One of Weird Al's songs is definitely in the top 10. And I'm like, it is what it is, guys. Like, I like other things. Also, I use Spotify for school, and I teach grade school kids. So it's not uncommon for me to see Taylor Swift pop up on one of my top songs played, because it's like, oh, I do use this device for other things than my own listening pleasure. So I just got to own all of it. But it would be very strange, I think, to some people they probably thought I would fake it. It was probably faked. But no, whatever I'm sharing, these are my top tracks. And yeah, people need to chill out, right? Like they need to accept that music is music.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to always expand your mind, man. It just be
Yeah.
for
And I feel like
enjoyment.
it makes my jazz playing better.
Yeah.
You know, jazz music for me has become the outlet for every creative impulse I feel. And I
Sure.
don't want it to be limited by saying, oh, my toolbox is only going to be from 1945 to 1955 or 1950. You know,
Yeah.
I will, when I work for other people, I don't do crazy stuff on their gigs. Like I try to do what I think the music calls for all the time.
Yeah.
But I think there's a way that you can play music that makes everybody happy. You know, if it's authentic, if it's coming from your heart, if you're trying to do it without the need for it to do anything for you, to me, it's hard for it to be too far off, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think step one is I'm a musician.
Right.
Step two is I play jazz, or I play, because I feel the same way. So, some of my favorite musical experiences are, fronting a rhythm section, playing standards and all that stuff. And then some of my other favorite experiences are when I was in a band where I would light my horn on fire.
You would?
Oh yeah, I was in a.
What did you soak it in gasoline or something?
I put when I was in the band the Flaming Tsunamis, I would put duct tape. I would
Can a tsunami catch fire because it's wet?
Yeah, I wasn't the one that named the band. I would me and the trombone player, we would put duct tape on our bells, and then we would put rubber cement on the duct tape. And so for one of the last, songs of the set, we would light the horns on fire while we played. And we did that until the, what was the band that, it happened in Rhode Island. The band was called White something, and they had like pyrotechnics and people.
Oh, sure.
It's going to kill me, the name of this band, but.
It's not White Snake. It's White.
No, it's White
not
something.
White
something.
And the place burned down.
Yeah, and people unfortunately lost their lives to it.
I remember.
When that happened, we had to stop. Yeah. And it's incredible to think about, because before we stopped, it was not uncommon to see someone like shoot silly string at us or throw toilet paper rolls and stuff. And I'm like, it's a miracle. The worst that happened to me was I singed my
there used to be a lot less rules.
Oh,
like
yeah.
We're, especially since all of these horrible events, we're living in the most antiseptic times in history.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's really something.
Yeah. I try not to think about it at all. But we would we were doing all kinds of stuff. I actually had a back injury from stage diving in this in this band. So some of my some of my old man aches from are from those days. But back to the so you're Connecticut rooted, New York living. You play piano, you play organ. I love that. I've enjoyed your work on both instruments, and then you're also a synth guy. And in our Zoom feed, I could see quite a number of keyboards behind you. Yeah. And even as a trumpet player, I have this like affinity for synthesizers. I feel like in another life, I must have been in some kind of new wave band in the 80s.
This is my new thing. Are you hip to Bram Boss?
No, but that looks awesome. I'm looking at an iPad with a bunch of like Star Trek features.
Incredible apps. This is what I do between my...
Oh, it's hip.
You can do your crane in the middle if you want.
Yeah, there you go. I see that. Yeah. Yep. That's so hip. I love you. I love that you've got this little this little technological man cave going on in here, and that's
oh my god, my man cave.
Yeah,
it's all about my man cave.
Right, and during
it took me 30 years to get a man cave.
But you got one. That's what matters. I do. You know, I will say, especially early on in lockdown quarantine, I did appreciate that you were regularly going live and just playing a couple of synths, whether you were playing I would catch you doing a standard, or, you would, or like playing a standard with like synth sounds or something. A couple of times you would be singing. It was really great and uplifting to see musicians still, practicing their craft, spending their
Well, Nick,
lockdown
we
time.
are in the happiness business.
Yes.
That's our role.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And one of the projects that you do that I've really liked is, and I don't want to mess up the name of it, but it's Current, right?
Current. That was
Current's
kind
your
of
synth group, right?
Well, this is kind of an outgrowth of that somehow.
Yeah.
I've taken all the synths and now I just do it myself because of the current state of affairs.
Yeah.
But Current had Jordan Young, who plays drums.
Yep.
We may have played for you. Was Jordan playing drums when I came to play in New Haven?
I can't remember. I can't remember who we had. It's not that long. This is of course.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. It was probably 2016 or 17, maybe 15. I remember that the Current record came out relatively close to when we had you play it.
So that was 2017.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it was probably, I think you played in 2016.
Do you remember the people with those, at the end of the night, those people with the weird, like, pig faces came in? Or was some kind of...
Yes, that was...
super out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also crazy because I've also left the organization that brought you down and started the Underground. And I think I've had you in under the Underground umbrella and back when I was with Jazz Haven. But it all I remember the performances, but it all blurs together, and I can't for some reason keep the dates set. But so anyway, let me back up. So it's really cool that you have had multiple projects in the last couple of years where you're doing different things. I think most commonly it's like I could find you on a record where you're playing piano and like a jazz quintet, but then like you pop up on organ, as a sideman or your own project, and then you've got the electronic stuff. It's just it's really cool that you have all these outlets, and I think, like going back to what we were saying before about music is more than just a 10-year period. It's nice to see you pursue these projects pretty regularly. I feel like we don't, especially musicians under the jazz umbrella, we'll say, you don't get to see them spread out like that as often. And I think it's really cool that you have, like, you've really stuck to your guns about that. Is it just because, like, you have a lot of likes and you just want to, pursue all of them, basically?
When we think of our favorite people, too, they were not doing what came before. They were groundbreaking.
Sure.
And I'm interested in being like that mostly. And that's not to say anything else against any other kind of tradition, which I love. And I'm happy to be in that bag. But personally, for my own happiness, I like to try to do things that I've never heard before, or mix things together like electronics and organ in ways that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
That to me is just what being an artist is.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's maybe not a time when a lot of those decisions are popular. I think a lot of people, especially in the Hammond organ world, a lot of fans of Hammond organ like the Hammond organ. They like blues.
Sure.
They don't even really like you to play too much. It's got a pretty it can have conservative followers.
Sure.
It would be the easiest thing in the world for me to play blues on the Hammond organ for the rest of my life. And I'd love to do that. But I'm also interested in pursuing these other things that I haven't heard before, because I'm trying to push myself and my listeners into new territory.
Do you think that comes from people just kind of, I think it's like human nature to want to categorize things. It's not,
sure.
I mean, sometimes it's not nefarious or mean-spirited at all. It's like, oh, sure. Brian Charette, he's the organ guy. So like they only expect you to do organ. So if you come out with this, like Wendy Carlos kind of album. They're like, oh, no. Brian can't do that because he's the organ guy.
I think there is some of that,
Yeah.
I think there is some of that. But, the thing that I'm most interested in is developing and making music that I feel like is super authentic.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm doing when I'm doing these different things. And I think it happens in varying degrees of success. Compositionally, some of the things that happened on the current album I've changed, and I was using a lot of circuit bent electronics on that album, which misfire because they have solder interrupting the circuits. There's a great degree of randomness, and they could get away from you sometimes, and it would add an element of cacophony, which I have softened in the new music. I think I'm just a different kind of person. Some people are kind of interested with being neoclassicist in their approach and sticking to a very set tradition. And I'm interested in doing that, but also trying to come up with some new stuff too. I think it's really as simple as that I'm interested in newer things too.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I feel like younger musicians especially need to hear those kind of answers more often. It's funny where I'll be hanging, with the jam session I would run, I would find myself hanging out with musicians of a huge range of age range, basically. And, somebody would mention, a metal band or a punk band or something. And, you chime in and go, oh man, I love their second album. And then there's someone who's just like, wait, what? You play jazz trumpet. Like, how do you know about Mastodon, And it's like, yeah, I've listened to metal, I've listened to all kinds of stuff. It's okay.
I was a metal dude too.
Yeah, it's okay to have that broad palette. And absolutely, it makes you a better musician. The New Haven Jazz Underground.
I think it makes the jazz playing more authentic and better too, because when you think about those guys, the classic guys that we were listening to, they were drawing on their influences. Hank Mobley.
Yeah.
You were talking about Wynton Kelly, Soul Station. Hank Mobley is my favorite tenor saxophonist in jazz, and he's very influenced by R&B and is playing hard bop, which is a little different than what came before.
Right.
So these guys were influenced by what was around them. So to me, it's unnatural for us to not be influenced by what's around us. That's all.
Yeah, I think we forget that the music that we love, like the classic Blue Note sound, and within all the genres, right? We forget that it didn't exist when it was being made. Like it's almost like we think that Donald Byrd was listening to Donald Byrd while he was making Bird in Hand or something like that. And you don't realize that Coltrane played in R&B bands and stuff. A lot of those saxophonists certainly did. And the rhythm players. I loved when I read Herbie's autobiography, he talked about all his early gigs, and it's like, oh yeah, of course he would play these like pop,
and he was an engineer too.
Right. Of course he would play these pop gigs and sock hop kind of stuff when he was in college, because it's like, oh yeah, it was 1958 and you were at Grinnell College, and doo-wop was way more popular, especially somewhere in like Iowa than bebop. So of course you're gonna, it's almost like we forget about this stuff. And what I wanted to say was, like, the Jazz Underground is run, the way I run it is way more influenced by my experience in the punk scene in Connecticut than anything jazz. In fact, it tries to stay away from a lot of jazz isms, because I noticed what didn't work were some of these, and it's not only in jazz, I'm not saying that, but it's, they're all the closed-minded or maybe closed bridge avenues. I try to stay away from them, and I found that things I learned that worked in the punk rock scene have helped the underground expand and get better. And before lockdown, we had 6 shows a week, so I like to think that we were doing something good. We're doing something right, before unfortunately the rug got pulled out from under us. But I think it's super important, and I'm glad that you say that.
Another thing too,
is doing that.
music, the more I go along, I don't want to say all music is the same, but the elements, I mean, there's only 12 notes in our Western scales that we use
Yeah.
for the most part. Um, I hear a lot more similarity between genres of music than I hear dissimilarity. You know, when
Sure.
I hear
Sure.
well-tempered clavier, it sounds like jazz to me, like
Yeah.
completely. Um, and I think all of these things, when you look at like Nate Smith or you look at BJ Iyer, any of these guys in jazz now that are really considered to be breaking new ground, they're into jazz music and into these new things too, and they're combining them to make this kind of new hybrid,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, which to me I find very, very stimulating and is very true to um, the pursuit of jazz music,
Yeah.
you know, which
Yeah.
to me was always a mix of different elements, you
It
know.
was. It was.
You know, when you think about the early pianists from New Orleans, they're basically mixing, you could even say French classical music
Hmm.
with African rhythms, Creole music, and you know that's kind of what we're doing now. That just the landscape has changed a little bit. What we're mixing,
Yeah.
you know. So I don't see as great differences between all of these things. You know, they do have a different approach, I guess. But when you
Tonal
see
palette.
them, when
Yeah.
I see them as more of the same thing, it makes me feel easier in all of them and makes it feel more authentic to me. You
Yeah,
know.
you know, you bring up an excellent point with like the early New Orleans musicians because it's like jazz has always been fusion from the get-go, you know,
Yeah.
and it really still has been since. And I agree. I get really excited for a lot of new stuff that I've been exposed to recently because I feel like I'm hearing a lot more combinations and
Hmm.
different approaches, which is really great. I'm a big fan
Hmm.
of Marquise Hill, and I feel like a lot of the hip hop elements that he's been bringing to the music um, probably wouldn't have reached my ears if I didn't have the avenue of, oh, here's a trumpet player, so I'm gonna like
Hmm.
default to that, and then check out other music that's related, you know, from him that I would never have thought to look into because it wasn't mixed with you know an acoustic quintet led by a trumpet player. So I agree with you. It's strange that we live in this era where there's so much mixing and going on. It's so heterogeneous, yet there's still this need to put everybody in a box and everybody in a you know in a certain category. It's kind of
Hmm.
weird, you know. But I guess that's the duality of
Well,
things, right?
coming back to Taoism, that's, you know, that is in the first chapters. They
Mm-hmm.
say, you know, from the nothing came the everything, and then you're given a name and put into a box from the beginning. As soon as you're given your name, you're a boy, you're a girl, this is your name, this is your ethnicity, this is your socioeconomic, you know,
Yeah.
the physical world is all about these boxes, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what you're
How
talking
we
about.
know this from that.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the second you start I think in the Tao Te Ching it says like the second you identify what is attractive to you, you've created the box. You've created the limits of your
Sure.
thinking because once you establish what looks or sounds or tastes good to you, you've created the opposite and now you're only, you know, you're the chances of you going down one path are greater where it's more closed off, more closed minded and that sort of thing. And
Hmm.
yeah, we gotta break this. We gotta break this chain, I guess. You know.
Well, the box is okay too. I think
Yeah.
that's almost the most important lesson that they're talking about. That the box is not going anywhere. People are not going to stop compartmentalizing,
Yeah.
and neither are we. We do it too,
Yeah.
you know. And I think it's just having the awareness to know what's going on and to see the humanity of ourselves and the lack of perfection, and to feel okay about it, and to try to work within those confines, you know,
Yeah.
is the big thing, I think.
Yeah. And again, it all relates back to what we were talking about in accepting of our own playing and accepting what is. I feel like we're back to talking about effortless mastery. Like all of what you just said is applicable to, being a musician and being accepting of your craft and yourself and your mistakes and everything there.
Yeah.
So, man, what is thanks for indulging me. I didn't think I was going to have such a philosophical conversation on this show. It was definitely not my goal when I thought about starting it, but here we are. So I have to.
We can talk about Star Wars if you want. I was there in '78, baby.
I wouldn't be born for a few years, but
I have an original Millennium Falcon. Deal with that.
Wow, I have. So I'm of like the second generation of Star Wars fans, because I feel like when they first came out, you were probably you were a little boy when they came out.
So I was 6.
You were the perfect age.
1972. Yeah.
There you go. You were the perfect age for it. When the original extended universe was established, I was 6, and that's when you had the Heir to the Empire books were written, which started.
What a franchise!
I know, and that's what this is the early '90s. This is kind of like what reinvented Star Wars after the '80s, because people were watching other things and stuff, and the extended universe had ignited this love of Star Wars. So when I was in middle school in the mid '90s, that's when they were like re-released with the special editions. That's when I got to see Star Wars in the theater, and that was huge on me. So like, it's funny that this franchise just grips you. It grips you as a kid, and it just holds on to you, because I feel like it's never not been important to me. And yes, you mentioned at the beginning of our Zoom, I'm wearing my Mandalorian t-shirt, which has always been which has been a great show. I could talk, but you haven't watched it, so I'm not going
I've seen season 1.
Okay. Season 2 is pretty cool. It's definitely got a lot of fanfare, a lot of fan favorites happening. So
no, I think it's a great. The characters are amazing, and he wrote the books, and didn't he draw the characters? And have you ever seen THX 1138?
Oh, you're talking about George Lucas? Yes, yeah. I saw THX 1138 once. My brother is as I'm an audiophile, he's a cynophile, whatever, cinematic.
I mean, to me, it's the characters in the mythology. The story is just really, it's really something.
It really has become mythology. There are hundreds of books. I mean, I've read so many of them myself, and I feel like there's still tons of material that you can enjoy. And what I love about The Mandalorian is they put someone who respects the content in charge of it. So the show was started by Jon Favreau, who got his start. His real big start was the movie Elf. You've seen that, right?
I have.
Okay, so
and was he in Swingers as well?
He was in Swingers, yeah. So he started out as an actor.
And who does he drive? He is like the chauffeur in a recent movie. He's so excellent.
Yeah,
he's taking care of. Is that the kid who's the bank robber that wears the glasses all the time? I can't.
Oh, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we wouldn't have the MCU without him, and now he's basically in charge of Star Wars, and it's incredible. Like, his first real directorial accomplishment is Elf, and from there he's basically,
that movie is funny, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a classic, and he he did Iron Man after that, and without the success of that, you wouldn't have the MCU, and now he's doing The Mandalorian. So you got to put the nerds in charge. I feel like the bigwigs finally figured that out. Let the nerds make the material, don't bother them, and it will pay back tenfold.
Yeah, well, they have usually they have such deep knowledge of the lore,
right?
Which
of course,
really what you can.
Yeah. Are you a Zappa fan by any chance? Because we're talking about movies and stuff. Okay, I figured you were. Make sure
my years are 71 to 74 for Zappa.
Okay, we have the same taste in Zappa then, because I feel like with Zappa, you could take 5 Zappa fans, put them in a room, and they will give you.
I've even been to the house. I've even been to their house in the hills.
Oh, really?
Side.
Oh shit!
Well, one of my friends used to go out with one of the Zappas.
Which one? Diva or
I can't. I
Moon?
maybe
You
shouldn't.
can't?
I maybe
Oh,
shouldn't
okay.
say.
Okay. Well, my fan base isn't that large, so you're safe. But
Okay. Well, I
keep
don't
it.
want to upset any. I don't want to upset anybody.
Oh, sure, no
I'm
problem.
a huge Frank Zappa fan,
I kind of figured you were.
especially the contemporary classical music.
Yeah.
Uncle Meat.
Yeah.
I love the live stuff from '74 with George Duke, Ruth Underwood.
Oh yeah.
Heavily influenced by that music.
Sure.
I feel like you can hear. I feel like my music sounds like Frank Zappa sometimes a little bit.
I've been binging a lot more Zappa lately because I watched this new Zappa documentary came out.
I know they have a new film, right?
It is quite good. I was surprised at how good it was. It's mostly narrated by his own voice. It's all like archival footage and stuff. They interview his wife a little bit. Ruth Underwood makes a lot of appearances. Bunk Gardner, one of the original saxophonists.
She never played music again after that.
Stop it, really?
I think so. I think that was the end of her music career.
She plays the Black Page in the movie on piano, and she nails it. She plays it with a drummer. I don't know who the drummer is, but she absolutely nails it. And
is it Terry Bozzio, maybe?
No, this is the original drummer of the Black Page was Terry Bozzio, I'm pretty sure. But this was done this past year. Do
you know the live version when he talks about Zappa gets on the mic and he starts to talk about the Black Page and he goes, I'm paraphrasing. Tonight we're going to play the Black Page, but we're going to give you the teenage Saturday night dance version for people who can't cope with its statistical density.
Yes, that's Zappa in New York, if I remember correctly.
Maybe,
yeah. So I agree with you. My favorite era of Zappa is the jazz
I live
rock.
right. The East Village is right where they did 71 live from the Fillmore. That's like 5 minutes from here.
Yeah. Chunga's Revenge, Weasels Rip My Flesh, Waka Jawaka, Hot Rats. But Roxy and Elsewhere is my favorite record.
Sure.
I feel like that's
what is Florentine Pogan and what is that on? That and that other amazing song, Inca Roads.
Inca Roads is
Overnight Sensation.
No, but it's like the album right after Overnight Sensation. It's gonna. Have to.
That's my favorite.
Inca Roads. Let's see. I'm looking it up right now.
Apostrophe.
I love Apostrophe. It's One Size Fits All from 1975. Has Inca Roads, Andy, Sofa Number One. Florentine Pogan. That's all.
Do you know what a Florentine Pogan is?
No, I don't.
It's a cookie.
I'm guessing an Italian cookie.
I'll take deep Frank Zappa. No, I don't know. For 1,000.
For 1,000, yeah. R.I.P.
I read his first book, which was excellent, but he gets pretty dark at the end of it when he starts to talk about Tipper and all this stuff.
Yes, yeah. So the only Zappa book I've read, I have a couple saved that I want to get to, but the only one I've read is his autobiography.
It's a little dark at the end.
Yeah,
I think he was a troubled guy. I think he was an angry, troubled guy. Sadly,
he admits that those sort of things in the movie. The thing is about that book is I remember I read it like around 21, 22 years old, and he must have wrote it right as he was doing all the free speech and music hearings and all that stuff, because he laces into Ronald Reagan and Tipper Gore, right? Tipper Gore was in the organization of women that were I say that because it was like part of their name. It was something about like the Wholesome Family Organization or something.
They started
like
to put the parental warning stickers on the album.
He must have when he wrote the book, it must have been around that time period, because he focuses like the last 3 chapters on it. And that's when it gets really ranty. And not knowing too much about it, because I was a little boy when this went on, I was like, I gotta look into this because I have no idea what he's talking about. But anyway, Roxy and Elsewhere is the pinnacle of Zappa in my opinion, where you get you get the Overnight Sensation kind of stuff. You're still getting the early Mother stuff. You're certainly getting the jazz stuff. They play the Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue, I believe, on that record.
Uh-huh.
And I love that stuff. And I wanted to ask you, because that new movie had come out, absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're a Zappa fan. I feel like it's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out. But today is Wynton Kelly's birthday, and I asked you right before the interview, can you share some of your favorite tracks of Wynton Kelly?
Sure.
I think it's only appropriate for the day.
You know what solo that is?
It's driving me nuts. Is it from Soul Station?
Nope.
Ah.
Melanie, which one is it? Oh my God, you're gonna have Mrs. Charette.
I know. Bring her on. Bring her on. Let's have her.
This is Melanie. I'm being interviewed. Do you want to say hello? This is Nick. That's from Kinda Blue.
Oh,
that's Freddie the Freeloader.
Yep. I would. The light bulb went off just now. How embarrassing! I should have known.
But
right
he's
away.
on Go, right? Dexter Gordon.
No, that's Sonny Clark.
Uh-oh.
So all right, we're both in the hole. Yeah. Yep. No. Now I can hear your voice.
Giant Steps, right?
What's up?
Giant Steps.
Yeah, he's on. I think he's on Mr. PC on that, right? Or is that Cedar Walton on that track? Because a lot of people don't realize, because they're too busy shitting on Tommy Flanagan, that Giant Steps is like a compilation album, essentially. It's not.
We have a lot of takes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it was one band that did all the songs. There's a lot of different cats that are a part of that record.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but like backing up to my own foils, the Freddie Freeloader solo is probably the solo that got me into jazz piano, or at least to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. I often talk about my love-hate relationship with Kinda Blue. As a trumpet player who was more into like Tower of Power and Real Big Fish in high school, hearing Miles on Kinda Blue was not a good idea to try to introduce me to jazz. It wasn't until I heard the Sidewinder my senior year of high school that was
one of my most favorite albums, Sidewinder. But that is Barry Harris on piano. Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't until I heard Lee Morgan on Sidewinder that I was like, oh, jazz is fun. I like this, because it's
with
way more.
Hank Mobley, more please.
Well, no, Joe Henderson on Sidewinder
is on Sidewinder.
Yes.
Oh, what on?
Yeah. I mean, it's it's so tough to keep track of
it straight.
The lineup. Yeah, I feel like I'm best at remembering the band on the record than the names of the songs. Like if you name a Blue Note album, I could probably tell you 9 times out of 10 who's in the band, but I can't remember which. Like, I said Soul Station before. I know This I Dig of You is on that. Is Dig This on that too?
Maybe is that on Workout? See, that I don't know.
See, that's the thing. If I Should Lose You, is that on Soul Station?
If I Should Lose You is on Soul Station.
Okay. So if it wasn't on Soul Station, I was gonna guess Workout next. Same era, but I always mix it up. Soul Station, Roll Call, Workout, and No Room for Squares. I'm always mixing up which tracks are on which album.
Yeah.
But Wynton Kelly, his solo on Freddie Freeloader, definitely something, for the ages, transcribed at nauseam. Perfect solo. I feel like if I was going to pick my favorite Wynton Kelly of all time, I would just blanket statement say Miles at the Black Hawk. Just that, like whatever you want. Green Dolphin Street, Walkin', So What, whatever. Just something from that record, favorite Wynton Kelly, and end credits. That and the albums he did with Joe Henderson. Well, Joe Henderson did with the Wynton Kelly Trio. Because you could tell that Joe was a huge fan of Miles, and I think that those records are clear representations of Joe playing with like probably his dream rhythm section. I think. What's another track that stands out?
They sound amazing. Another track that stands out. Let me think. I had his discography here. I'm trying to see which ones are my favorites.
While you look it up, I'm going to have to say that one of my absolute favorites is when he played Softly as in a Morning Sunrise off of Kelly Blue. You know that record, right?
Yes, I do.
So he takes it a little slower than like
Smoking
I feel like
at the half note, of course.
Of course. I feel like when people call Softly, it's going to be on the quicker side. This is one of those rare occasions where he plays it slow. And not, probably like 140 at the fastest. Absolutely enjoyable. It sounds like what jazz must sound like to
Hank Mobley is on Soul Station. I mean, Wynton Kelly is on Soul Station.
Yes. I was correct about that. Tune wise, I can never remember. So, but yeah, Softly off that record. He also plays Willow Weep for me on that record. That's like quintessential Wynton Kelly.
Getting Together, Art Pepper, great one.
Yeah. He didn't live very long, right?
Nuke's Time. He died at 39.
You're right. Yeah.
Epileptic seizure.
Okay.
39.
So sad.
PC, he had like
he was
alcoholism stuff. What was it?
Tuberculosis.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He might have even been younger.
Somewhere, yeah, not old. Let's put it that way. But
those guys were hard living, man.
Yeah, hard living, quick dying, unfortunately. Because I mean, like, there's no reason why he couldn't be alive today.
Yeah.
Nuke's Time. I forgot about.
Dude, that's a big one. That's a big one.
It's been forever. Here, to contradict what I just said, the statement
lot of Blue
I just
Mitchell
claimed,
records.
Yeah, I would have guessed it was Tommy Flanagan on Nuke's Time. If I would have been wrong about that, I would have guessed Tommy.
See, he plays on other Sonny Rollins albums, though.
Exactly. See, this
is Wikipedia too. Sometimes they're almost always right, but there can be little mistakes. So I guess don't quote me on this.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get an angry
There can be little boo-boos. Yeah.
Well, we're just going on what we can with the tools we have. So
it might be both of them too. I don't think so though. I think it's all Wynton Kelly on that one.
Yeah. Or
I remember Nuke's Time was a very, very big album for me. And that, of course, Kind of Blue was a very big album.
Sure.
So I was, some of the piano that I checked out most deeply was Wynton Kelly, because that's when I would transcribe. After a certain point, I didn't really transcribe a lot. But in the years that he was one of the people that I transcribed, because he just played so perfectly.
Yeah. It's almost like Miles's description of him makes the most sense, even though it's
what's that? I don't know what that is.
He said he's like the perfect cup of coffee or something. There's like not too much cream, there's just the perfect amount of cream, something along those lines. It's been a long time since I read the autobiography, but he was basically saying, like, look, like, he's got the perfect amount of bebop, blues, experience playing ballads and torch songs, and he was a well-rounded pianist.
No, he plays really lovely.
Yeah. And not with Miles for very long, which is kind of crazy. Like maybe only 2 years, I think, from 59. No, probably 60 to 62, 61, because we got Red Garland, who I love, but then you got Bill Evans. Yeah. And then Wynton Kelly, but then Herbie joins the band in like 62-ish, right around the time they made 7 Steps to Heaven.
Yeah.
And you got Someday My Prince Will Come is right before that. The Live at Carnegie Hall, right before that. Black Hawk, same band. Not with him. Some of his greatest sidemen have been with him for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
I love when Keith Jarrett was in the band. The Red.
Oh, that's like Isle of Wight with Chick Corea. He was there with Chick Corea at the time.
Right. But even after that, it's just Keith Jarrett. We're talking Live at the Cellar. I
have a student in 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, then I have to let you go.
We can continue. Do you want to continue after my lesson?
I have I have birthday things.
Okay,
So
good for
what
you.
what we will do is we will have you back on the show sooner than
Okay.
later, because it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for coming on this episode.
That's my pleasure. I'm a huge fan of yours. You know that.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm definitely going to check out the new record.
Great.
Tell us what it's called again.
It's called Like the Sun.
Like the Sun, and it's like more of your synthy kind of approach to stuff.
It's all me and machines.
Yeah, in the era of COVID, it's a legit solo album.
Yep.
Yep, check it out. Buy it. Don't stream it. Buy it. Buy it on all the platforms you can. Brian Charette, it's been a pleasure to have you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Please say hi to your wife for me.
I will.
And I think it's great that you're doing this.
Oh, thank you so much. We will definitely get you on soon. Have a great one, man. I'll talk to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so thank you to Brian for being on the show. We went over, as you could tell, sometimes these conversations go on for a lot longer than planned and go by way quicker than you think, which is, I think, the underlying fun about doing this show is I just lose track of the conversation, and before you know it, somebody's got to run because I got a student coming up. But no, thanks again to Brian. Check out his new record and check out his discography. He really has a wide range of albums, and you know, everything from solo organ playing standards to solo synthesizers playing all kinds of cool stuff, and everything in between. But yeah, you know, Connecticut roots, man. We're all about the CT fam. So really happy that Brian could be on the show. So thanks so much for checking that out. And you know what? I decided, fuck it, man. I'm gonna splurge. It's the birthday episode. I am confirming my purchase for this Jimmy Cobb CD. I'm gonna take a chance. Probably going to shoot myself in the foot for doing this, but how could I not have Eddie's complete discography, right? and that's what this episode is about. It's been about me, obviously, and my habit of spending all my money on albums, because that's why it took me until 36 to buy a house. No, I'm kidding. It's because I'm a millennial, and no matter how much work I put in, I'll never have the life my boomer parents had. It's just a fact. Right? Whatever helps me sleep at night. No, seriously, we are now in the 12th month of 2020. Can you believe it? I feel like, I know COVID's not going away on January 1st. I know the world's not going to fucking change instantly on January 1st. But it just feels like we got through something, right? It feels like something is about to be finished. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to be overly optimistic about things. So we'll see, we'll see. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for spending it with me on my birthday. Really, in this time period, this is all I could ask for. So this has been Mr. Millennial's Revenge. I'm your host, Nick DeMaria. This is a production of the New Haven Jazz Underground. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.